In this course, I'm going to be talking about runts, and unfortunately, not the candy. So, runts has been a topic that have been coming up quite a lot this past year, especially because of the increased demand in broilers. So, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what runts are and how to prevent them, or what to do if you're seeing runts, an increased number of runts. So, what runts are is an animal that is, for one reason or another, not growing at the same rate as the animals of the same age. So, they tend to be smaller and they're going to have less feathering. So, you can see in this picture here how much smaller the one bird is the same age as the broiler two next to it. Very big size differences. Um, it also shows poor uniformity as well. So there are a few different causes for why you're seeing increased runts. So if you're seeing more than 10% runts, that I would say that's a pretty significant issue. So a few different reasons are they could possibly that the chicks are not finding feed fast enough. So chicks develop their appetite in the first 72 hours of life. This is more like 48 to 72 hours. And it's really important that chicks find feed quickly. As soon as you place them, you want them to have their crops filled within the first 24 hours. Uh, Another possibility that you're having issues with runts is because of the breeder flock, especially since this past year during the pandemic, with the increased demand in chicks. Hatcheries are trying to satisfy more customers than ever before, meaning that chick orders have increased drastically. So the need to set more eggs that may not be within the appropriate size range could possibly be causing that. And lastly, you could have issues with runts because of shipping issues. So if maybe the chicks are in the mail for a little bit longer than anticipated, that could cause issues. And shipping for chicks is really stressful as it is. And then you factor in that they might be in the mail for a little bit longer than anticipated is less than ideal. So preventing runts, there are a few things that are more out of your control. So if you're having issues because of the breeder flock or because of shipping issues, both of these are very difficult to control and they're kind of out of your hands. So in terms of the breeder flock, the best thing you can do is to know your source and talk to your hatchery. If you're seeing more than 1 to 2 runts, and you're taking all of the management steps to prevent it, meaning that you're encouraging the chicks to find feed fast enough, and you're doing everything you have feed that's an appropriate grind size for your birds so that they are able to eat it and digest it well. So because of this huge increase in demand for chicks and chickens, it's put a lot of pressure on the breeder flocks, like I had mentioned before. Um, so the eggs being harvested, they might be being harvested a little bit earlier, or they're extending the egg harvest window. The egg sizes being hatched directly contributes to the chick sizes and development potential. You may be surprised that extra large eggs do not make an extra large chick, nor do small eggs make a small chick. It's more based on the weight of the egg. So an egg that is roughly around 56 grams is the optimum egg size for hatching. There is going to be a little bit of variation, but that is the aim. And because of this increased demand, it could mean that the eggs that are being harvested weren't quite in that window, and it could affect the size of the runts. Right, and again, moving on to the shipping issues, again, that's difficult for you to control. We've had a lot of issues with the mail since March because of the pandemic. So chicks had been getting lost in the mail, and it was taking more than 2 to 3 days, which is really stressful and really not ideal for shipping. So I guess there's only so much you can do depending on your location. finding a hatchery that is near you might be an option, but it's also important to have a hatchery that does a good job and has good integrity also. So, okay. Another thing to consider that another one of the causes of runts is that the chicks may not be finding feed fast enough. And one of the best ways to prevent that is just encouraging the chicks to find feed as quickly as possible. So when you first place the chicks, you want them to bump into feed everywhere they turn. A couple ways that you can do this is by crowding the chicks. So having 4 chicks per square foot for the first 72 hours is going to help encourage them to find feed. Putting feed, making sure you have plenty of feeder space is really important. You can put feed in trays, you can put feed in piles on the ground. Like in this top picture here, you see there's feed everywhere. It's very difficult for these chicks to not find feed. The crops should be filled within 24 hours. Ideally, they're going to be filled and refilled within that first 48 hours because a chick's eating habits are established in the first 48 to 72 hours of life. So, and this is going to set them up for success later on in life, whether these are pullets or these are broilers. It's really important that they develop a really good eating habit early on in life. Um, so, you want their crops filled and refilled. One of the ways to know that they're getting enough feed is by checking your crop fill. Um, and making sure that they are getting feed. So keep in mind that chicks don't really know what feed is. They just have an instinctive habit for pecking. So they're pecking at whatever they see, whether that be shavings or if that's going to be feed or if they're just pecking at the wall. They don't quite know um, what it is that they're pecking at. So making sure that's one of the reasons that having feed really accessible is important. And also another option would be to lay cardboard down or like a brown paper over top of your shavings, or if you're using peat moss for your bedding, whatever bedding you're using in the brooder, to lay down cardboard and put feed on top of it to help encourage them to eat feed and not eat whatever your bedding is. And then after 48 to 72 hours, you can take that cardboard out and then give them access to like the shavings or the peat moss is really a better material to use for bedding in the brooder. So encouraging chicks to find feed is really important. I would suggest checking the crops. So um, after you've placed birds for after the first 2 hours, and you should be checking on your chicks very often, every couple hours whenever you first place them. So within the first 2 hours, if you want to check like 10% of the birds and feel their crop fill. So you want after checking your birds 2 hours, you want 75% of the chicks that you've checked to have their crops full. After 8 hours, you want closer to 80%. At 12 hours, you want 85% with crops full. And then at 24 hours, you want closer to 95 to 100% of their crops to be full. And whenever you're checking their crops, you want to feel how hard or soft it is. So if you're feeling their crops, and you can see in this picture, a picture of a chick with the crop full and then with a chick with the crop empty. So you're feeling, and you want to feel a little bit of food. So it's going to be a little bit on the hard side, but you also want to be able to feel it should be a little soft also, because that means that they're finding both feed and water. So again, water is really important for preventing or for encouraging feed consumption. Whenever you get chicks, if you can dip their beaks in the water, that's going to be really, really helpful for helping them find water. So water consumption drives feed consumption. It is extremely important that you have both of those very accessible for your chicks. All right, so that is the course on runts. There are only a few things that you can do about them. So, if you're having issues with shipping or with the hatchery, there's only so many things you can do to prevent those. But really encouraging them to find feed quickly is going to be one thing in terms of management that you can you can do on your own and to help prevent the number of runts that you're seeing. Because once they're stunted, it's really difficult to get them um, to grow well and to meet the your desired carcass weight. If these are broilers, it's going to take them quite a bit longer. So, well, thank you very much.